Hi, this is Swaggle. I'm Karame on YouTube, and I wanted to talk a little about the monk changes that have happened on Warlords Beta. The main change that's happened is they removed the Path of Mists and made it Pool of Mists. So instead of a passive ability that you toggle on and off, it's a passive ability that gives your Renewing Mists 3 charges and increases its healing by 15%, and gives your Rising Sun Kick, which you use in Crane stance, the Mistweaver stance, 3 charges as well, and its damage is increased by 50%. Chi Explosion, I believe, is still the extremely powerful spell, but for spread out fights, ideally, this is going to be your go-to spell. I'm still not sure when we would use Breath of the Serpent. I'm sure it has, its uses, but on a 1.5 minute cooldown, it's kind of limited by that. I feel like its cooldown should be shorter, but that's just me. So, as far as I know, these changes they announced may not be in yet, but I believe they are, because I definitely saw some of them on MMO Champion, but they buffed Eminence, they buffed its, healing, maybe its damage, either way, it's a buff to its healing. They basically buffed all our Eminence abilities, and then they said they were buffing Uplift and or Renewing Mists, I don't remember which, but that last I read wasn't in yet. So right now our main issue is spread healing. I haven't done recent testing on my Mistweaver, so I'm not sure if the changes have gone through, if those help us at all, but last I tested, all our throughput was tied around Rushing Jade Wind and Chi Explosion. So those are, stacked AoE healing abilities. And if the raid's not stacked, then we can't really use them. And our throughput when spread was just terrible using either ability, Chi Explosion or Pool of Mists. So, yeah. That bell keeps going. What was I gonna say? The thing about fist weaving is it's supposed to be very low throughput, and it's not supposed to be as much healing as our mistweaving stance. So yeah, I just hope they balance the abilities. The other thing, oh, I remember what I was gonna say. About Chi Explosion, the thing is, if you always are using it at 4 Chi, or 3 Chi even, because you don't care about the healing spheres, though its healing is based around how many Chi you consume, that takes a while to build up. And, yeah, there were some fights where the, boss, say you'd have, 2 or 3 groups spread around the boss, and, each group would be stacked, and then they would take, bursts of damage and then move out. The bursts would come so quickly that I couldn't build up, 4 Chi every time, and then, by the time I could, it was time for the next group, and then they'd get hit, and it was just I would just slowly be falling behind. The other thing that I feel is that Chi Explosion, no matter how many Chi you have, casts the same time. So, yeah, that's Chi Explosion. It's a 1.4 second cast. And that's, before haste, or, well, with my haste. But anyway, then you have uplift, which is also the same cast time, but only takes 2 chi. And personally, I feel like the amount of chi you consume on a spell should affect its cast time. So the more chi you're using, the, slower its cast time should be. So especially with uplift, at least in the incarnation that I last saw, I felt like uplift should be, half the cast time of a 4 chi explosion. Or, maybe not half, but lower. Because it feels like, why should it take twice as long to spend your chi when you're using uplift as it does with chi explosion? So, yeah, that's just something to think about. I've suggested this to some friends, and they, say it makes reasonable sense, but it's just an idea I came up with. So, I'm not sure. But other than that, I don't think anything else has changed for us. They did add in this, not that glyph. There's another glyph. It's not it. It's not glyph of detox, but, well, maybe Mistweavers don't have it. They added a glyph for most healing specs that gives their dispel like 2 charges before it goes on cooldown, but I don't see it here for Mistweavers. Oh, there it is. Detoxing. I think I have to buy it from an NPC. Yeah, it increases its cooldown. That makes sense. But it does take a glyph slot, so yeah, but if you're never fist weaving, then Glyph of Surging Mist is no longer useful. So, yeah, we'll see what happens to monks. Currently, I'm really worried because our main issues are that our heals don't have control, and that has always been the problem. And that's still the case. That hasn't really changed at all. So I just hope they can fix that, especially with their spread healing, which is when, it really shows that we don't have control over our heals. Like, the Pool of Mist talent sort of gives us a little, wannabe control because it has charges and we can, like, throw out Renewing Mists all at once. Like, all 3 charges, but that's not really, like, actual control. That's, like, kind of pretend control. It's not like, oh, I know exactly where my heals are going. No, you just have a better chance of hitting the right people. So, I don't personally consider that control. I consider that a bit of an improvement, but it's still not exactly right. It kind of feels like they don't know what to do to fix the issues our class has without making us, like, extremely overpowered, but they're definitely avoiding trying to make us overpowered at all. Whereas it seemed like a lot of other classes have had their time to be overpowered on the beta. And granted, like, when we're stacked in healing, our healing is really good, especially when the Cleave Trinket was working in raid testing. It did a lot of healing, but the Cleave Trinket doesn't work anymore. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope this has been some information to think about. Have a great day.